What is the difference between living in China and Canada? Where will you settle down? Alright. I'll answer your questions one by one, okay? For those of you who don't know my background, I am a Chinese national and a permanent resident in Canada. I lived in Canada for 10 years. I recently moved back to China for about 8 months, and now I'm back here again. Literally, the first thing everyone said to me was, "Why are you back?" Well, how about welcome back, you know? But I guess we'll sit down and talk about this today. So how was life in China compared to life in Canada? Well, obviously this is going to be very specific to my personal experience. As someone who was born and raised in China, of course China is the place that feels most like home to me. The thing is, I actually spent all my adult life in Canada, so I didn't really live in China as an adult until 8 months ago. Let me tell you, when I first got back to China, I lacked basic life skills on a whole other level. I had to learn how to pay with my phone, how to order takeout, how to take the subway, how to book an appointment to go to the hospital, and how to apply for a credit card. The bank declined me, by the way. But who needs a credit card when you can pay for everything with your phone? It's funny how the first week I came back to Canada, I kept forgetting my wallet because I got so used to paying with my phone. I would go to the store and they'd be like, $12 please. I'd be like, let me go get my wallet. All in all, I would say living in China is a lot more convenient and a lot cheaper compared to Canada. Well, except for real estate, of course. I'm comparing Shenzhen versus Toronto here because these are two cities that I have lived in. Shenzhen is dubbed the Silicon Valley of China. It has one of the hottest real estate markets. It's definitely not considered a cheap city to live in. Toronto, on the other hand, is the financial center in Canada. The cost of living in general is also pretty high. But how high? Let's use takeout as an example. In China, we have this app called Meituan, just like Uber Eats in Canada. I love pasta. I order pasta all the time. On Meituan, a nice bacon mushroom truffle pasta costs 48 yuan in total, which is like 9 Canadian dollars. And it tastes so good. And it was nicely packed in a custom-made paper box too. Back in Toronto, when I ordered a plain-ass pesto pasta with nothing but pinus and the mushroom cost extra, it was $22, which is 109 yuan. Remember, it's a plain-ass pasta that doesn't even taste good, and it was packed in random plastic boxes. Like, here's your sauce, and here's your pasta, mix it yourself, eh? And don't get me started on the subway system. Here's a map of the Shenzhen Subway. It started in 2004, and in just 18 years, this is what it looks like. And here's a map of the Toronto Subway, the good old TTC. It's pretty self-explanatory. You had 68 years, Toronto. Anyways, the thing that really pissed me off is how much the price differs when it comes to COVID testing. When I went back to China, I had to do a COVID test within 48 hours of boarding the plane. I needed expedited results, so I ended up paying $420, which is 2,085 yuan. When I did the COVID test before returning to Canada, guess what? It was 31 yuan, which is $6. What the f? Speaking of COVID, people's attitude towards it is completely different. I'm sure you're familiar with the legendary 21-day mandatory quarantine in China. When I came back to Canada, the border officer was like, yeah, come on in. Also, here people are like, yeah, I just got COVID in December, everyone got it. I have never met a single person who's got COVID in China, because if you did, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. You'd be immediately quarantined, plus the entire building you live in, plus all the places you've been lately, tracked by blockchain technology, and plus me, who has come into close contact with you. It is understandable because the population in China is huge. We're talking about 1.4 billion people. If the COVID situation is not under control, the entire healthcare system is gonna collapse. Here in Canada, the population is a lot smaller. I'm not saying the healthcare system is not overwhelmed, but there are a lot less people here. You go out, you wave at a person, and then you're like, oh no, that's a tree. Now the question remains, why am I back? Well, because I love trees. Okay, seriously though, why did I come back to Canada? Here's the plot twist. I'm not back. In fact, I'm not choosing one place or the other just yet. There's a quote by Naval Ravikant that really had an impact on my life decisions. Choosing what city to live in can almost completely determine the trajectory of your life, but we spend so little time trying to figure out what city to live in. If you're going to live in a city for 10 years, if you're going to be in a job for 5 years, if you're in a relationship for a decade, you should be spending 1 to 2 years deciding these things. As some of you may know, it took me 2 days to make the decision to move to Canada at 18 years old, and boom, I'm here for 10 years. Well, there goes my entire 20s, down a drain, into Lake Ontario. I don't think I'll rush that decision ever again. Well, what's there in Canada, you may ask? Nothing. That's exactly why I'm back. You see, when I was in China, I had my family and all my best friends. I was always with people, there were always things to do. It was a lot of fun, but almost too much fun sometimes. Like I told you, I was having trouble finding a balance between work and life. So I flew 12,000 kilometers for a bit of personal space. Okay, realistically though, my studio in Shenzhen is still in the works, it's not going to be ready anytime soon, and plus it's in a new building, so even if it's ready, all my neighbors will be drilling. You know that's the biggest nightmare for video creators. But I wasn't entirely joking when I said I needed to be on my own for a bit. I'm actually someone who enjoys alone time quite a lot. I need the time to think and reflect. There was a reason I didn't go crazy being on the lockdown on my own in Toronto for a year and a half. In a sense, I didn't choose Toronto per se. I chose somewhere where I could be on my own and think about what I want out of life. And Toronto happens to be the perfect place for that. Is there anything good about Toronto? You know, the city itself? Of course, when I first moved here 10 years ago, I was excited just to be here. But then I stayed for too long and I started getting sick of it. Now that I've been gone for 8 months, I can look at everything with a fresh eye again. Now I look at the trees around me, I'm like, that's a beautiful tree. Yeah, I think when I live in one place for too long, I just take things for granted. But if I know I'm only going to be there for a certain period of time, I tend to cherish things a bit more. You know what? I actually admire people who could live in one city and just be content about it. I couldn't do it, and I'm just being honest with myself about it. As for now, I think I'll live between China and Canada. In Canada, there's this group called the Snowbird. It's usually old, retired people who will escape Canada in winter to some Caribbean countries and then come back when it gets warmer. I'm gonna be a snowbird. Except this bird goes a little far, like all the way across the Pacific Ocean. I was thinking the other day about why I will always be attracted to guys who literally don't live in the same country as I do. If he lives here, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about you. But if I know he's leaving, then I'm like, I like you. I guess subconsciously, I just really want to go somewhere. And the issue gets a bit more complicated now that I'm leaving too. Where would I settle down? I honestly don't know. But China will always be home because that's where I was born and almost all the people I care about are there. I also fantasize about moving to France or Italy or something, but I guess my best bet is marrying someone. Anyways, I'm happy to be back in Canada. I'll try to explore some places now that things are opening up. I can't guarantee though, because I actually like staying at home, but I'll try. When I say I'll try, I mean it.